I came home after a brutal 12-hour shift, exhausted, aching, desperate for the comfort of my own space. But when I reached my door, it wasn't my door anymore. The locks had been changed. My bags, everything I owned, were sitting on the sidewalk. And taped to my suitcase was a note, in handwriting I knew all too well. You should have left sooner. No explanation. No warning. Just 4 words that shattered everything. The person I had trusted with my heart, my home, my life, had planned this, waiting for the exact moment I was weakest to strike. I stood there in the cold, in the dark, wondering how someone could erase a life, while you were still living it. And in that moment I realized, everything I thought I had was gone. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Whisper Stories, where silence speaks. My name is Laura Bennett, and the note was written on the back of an old grocery receipt. I recognized the handwriting before I even finished reading the first word. You should have left sooner. That was it. No signature. No explanation. Just those 4 words, taped crookedly to the suitcase I had carried through 3 apartments, 2 cities, and 1 marriage that was supposed to last forever. I stood there on the sidewalk at 11:43 p.m., still in my scrubs, feet aching, shoulders stiff, my phone battery blinking at 4%, and my entire life packed into 3 bags like I was some kind of unwanted delivery. Cars passed by, someone laughed across the street, a bus roared past without slowing down. The city kept breathing like nothing had happened. But my world had stopped. The life I thought I had. 12 hours earlier, I had left the apartment quietly. I always did. He hated mornings, said my alarm gave him headaches, so I learned to wake up before it rang, slipping out of bed with the care of someone defusing a bomb. I got dressed in the bathroom with the lights off, brushing my hair by memory so I wouldn't disturb him. I worked at a long-term care facility, underpaid, understaffed, emotionally exhausting. Most days left me drained in ways sleep couldn't fix. But I stayed. Because someone had to. Because the residents looked at me like I mattered. Because when I came home exhausted, I believed I had a place that was mine. I was wrong. That day had been brutal. 1 resident passed away during lunch. Another clutched my wrist as my shift ended, her hand trembling. You'll come back tomorrow, right? She asked, fear filling her eyes. I promised, I said. By the time I clocked out, my back was screaming and my eyes burned from holding in tears. All I wanted was my couch, a hot shower, and the quiet comfort of familiarity. I didn't expect betrayal to be waiting for me outside my own front door. The sidewalk. At first I thought the bags weren't mine. That's how the mind protects itself, it delays the truth. Then I noticed the cracked zipper on the blue duffel. The detergent stain on the corner from last year. The small keychain on my backpack, the one my mother gave me before she passed away. My hands started shaking. I tried the door. The locks had been changed. I knocked harder than I ever had before. Nothing. I called his phone, straight to voicemail. Again. And again. Finally, the neighbor across the hall cracked her door open. Oh, she said softly, eyes flicking to my bags. I thought you knew. Knew what? I asked, though my voice already sounded hollow. He was home earlier, a locksmith came. He said you were moving out. Moving out. As if I had planned this. As if this wasn't an execution disguised as logistics. The relationship that shrunk me. We had been together for 7 years, married for 4. Or rather, that's how long I had been giving pieces of myself away without noticing. It started small. You don't need to work so much. Why are you always tired? Can't you be more positive? Every complaint wrapped in concern. Every criticism disguised as advice. When my mother got sick, he complained about hospital visits. When she died, he said my grief made me distant. When I worked overtime to cover rent, he said money stressed him out. When I asked for help, he said I was nagging. Somewhere along the way, Laura Bennett became a guest in her own life. And still I stayed. Because I thought love meant endurance. Because I believed patience was the same thing as loyalty. The note. I sat down on the curb and read the note again. You should have left sooner. Left where? When? With what money? With what strength? He knew exactly what he was doing. He waited for a day when I'd be too exhausted to fight back, when my mind would be foggy and my heart too bruised to argue. This wasn't impulsive. It was calculated. The night I slept outside my old life. I called everyone I could think of. No answer. Friends had drifted away over the years, another quiet consequence of shrinking myself to fit someone else's comfort. Finally, I called my co-worker Maria. She didn't hesitate. Stay where you are, she said, I'm coming. I cried while I waited, not pretty crying, the kind that empties you out, the kind that makes strangers uncomfortable. When Maria pulled up, she didn't ask questions. She just hugged me while I shook like a leaf in winter. That night I slept on her couch, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment I had ignored, every red flag I had painted beige. The aftermath. The next morning I went back. Not to beg. To retrieve what was left. He wasn't there, just an empty apartment and echoes where my voice used to live. He had taken the TV. The coffee machine. Even the jar of spare change. But he left the wedding album. I sat on the floor and flipped through it slowly. Two people smiling at a future only one of them believed in. I closed the album and left it on the counter. Some things don't deserve to follow you into your next life. Rebuilding. Starting over is loud. Paperwork. Awkward explanations. Long nights wondering how you didn't see it sooner. I rented a small studio apartment, too small, too quiet. But it was mine. I hung my clothes without asking permission. I cooked meals without criticism. I slept without fear of being too much, or not enough. Slowly, I began to feel something unfamiliar. Peace. The call. 3 months later, my phone rang. His name lit up the screen. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. I didn't think you'd actually go, he said. I thought you'd come back, we should talk. I deleted it. Some doors don't need closure. Some exits are final for a reason. The woman I became. I started therapy. I reconnected with friends. I laughed without checking if it was too loud. At work, I noticed something strange. I stood taller. Patients commented on my smile. You look lighter, one of them said. I was. Because Laura Bennett was no longer carrying someone else's indifference. The moral. Love should never make you feel disposable. If someone waits for your weakest moment to abandon you, they were never your safe place, only a temporary shelter with conditions. Sometimes, being left on the sidewalk is the universe pushing you toward a life where you finally choose yourself. And sometimes, losing everything is the first step toward finding who you really are.